This is the Ramana Maharshi Satsang, a time to listen, reflect, and deeply meditate. Know yourself and be always free and at peace. Excuse me while I adjust something. Welcome. I'm Richard Clarke, hosting this satsang. I'm not a teacher or a guru, just someone who loves this teaching and wants to share it with like minded people. I'm reviewing and commenting on the book Talks with Sri Ramana Maharshi, and I'm on Talk 41. This is the second episode of that. It's a long talk, and here we are. The disciple asks, is a, oop, is a man to engage in teaching his knowledge, however imperfect? Ramana says, if his parabdha, if his karma be that way. In the seventh chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asks karma if karma is a method, a sadhana. Krishna answers that it is so if done without the sense of doership. So also are karmas approved by scriptures which deny karma. The karma disapproved of by them is that which is done with a sense of doership. Do not leave karma. You cannot do so. Give up the sense of doership. Karma will go on automatically, or karma will drop away from you. If karma be your lot according to Prarabdha, it will surely be done whether you will it or not. If karma be not your lot, it will not be done even if you intensely engage in it. Janaka, Sukha, etc. were also in work without ahankara, without the I thought. Karma may be done for fame or may be done unselfishly and for the public good. Yet, even then, they want applause. So it's really selfish. What is the one thing knowing which all doubts are solved? Ramana says, know the doubter. If the doubter be held, the doubts will not arise. Here, the doubter is transcendent. Again, when the doubter ceases to exist, there will be no doubts arising. From where will they arise? All are yanis, jivan muktas, only they are not aware of the fact. Doubt must be uprooted. This means that the doubter must be uprooted. Here, the doubter is the mind. The devotee asks, what is the method? Maharshi replies, who am I is the investigation. Then the disciple asks, is hatha yoga necessary? And Maharshi says, it is one of the aids, not that it is always necessary. It depends upon the person. Vichara, inquiry, surpasses pranayama, focus on the breath. In Yoga Vishishta, Chudala advises investigation, vichara, to Siddhi Vaja for killing the ego. Reality can be reached by holding on to prana or intellect. Hatha yoga is the former, vichara is the latter. The devotee says, I meditate neti neti. And Maharshi says, no, that is not meditation. Find the source. You must reach the source without fail. The false I will disappear, and the real I will be realized. The former cannot exist apart from the latter. So the first dialogue is really about doership, the sense of being the doer, the sense of being an agent in all the activity of the body and mind, like taking on the role of a teacher. I'm not a good one to talk about doership, since my favorite misidentification is as the doer. The sense of agency is something that I enjoy and I think greatly feeds my ego. I understand many ideas about the lack of doership, and I appreciate these ideas, but still, this is not my experience. I guess I'm held back and limited because of an idea, an identification with what is limited, and finally, just not true. I understand mentally that I am not the body, and then I'm not anything associated with the body, like its size and sex and age and eye color and skin color and everything else. That's okay with me. Then I am not the organs of action, the mouth and hands and feet. Okay, so far. Next, though, are the actions and the actor. This is where my attachments still lie. I understand the idea that the universe was launched and did its thing, and that everything within the universe plays its part, and that we are something within all of this to play our part. And our actions are just the universe playing itself out. This is a wonderful view, but still, I feel like I can make choices that affect my part in things. And to justify my opinion, I recall things like Adi Shankara said, realization comes to those who make effort. If I can't make choices, then how can I choose to make effort? And why would Shankara say such a thing anyway? Another early source for my ideas about the doer came from Taoism. To a Taoist, the secret of life is not to force, fret, or struggle to control and manipulate reality, but to relax, smile, and float downstream, allowing things to naturally unfold. In doing so, we come back into alignment with the natural order of the cosmos. If there is a doer in this Taoist view, it is doing by letting things naturally unfold. So I've been hearing about the doer for most of my life and the absence of a doer. But as I said, in my early 20s, I know I exist because I can do things. 50 years later, I'm still stuck with this idea. For me, I know this always present awareness, and I must complete the knowledge and the experience that I am only this awareness, that I'm not that and not anything like a body. It must become my experience. So, back to the meditation hall for me. Now, on to Ramana and the dialogue. The disciple asks, is a man to engage in teaching his knowledge, however imperfect? To which Ramana responds, if it is his karma to do so, then it will be done. But any action needs to be done as a service, not to satisfy any egoic need. Action done as selfless service leaves you free, accumulating no karma. If it is done for you, however, for your needs or to satisfy your desires, then you'll receive the karma of the action. The next dialogue is about practice, how to deal with doubts. Ramana, as he usually does, directs the question back to its source. Doubt is just a kind of thought. Thoughts rise in the mind. Are you a mind, or are you the knower of the mind? If you're the mind, then the doubt is real. If you're not the mind, then none of the mind stuff, like the doubt, is yours. And when the mind is quiet, what happens to the doubt anyway? Next is a question about yoga. Is it necessary? Ramana says it depends on the person. That inquiry is higher, a more direct practice than yoga or breath watching, but different people have different capabilities. You must practice according to your capabilities. If you are ready to start abandoning your ego view of yourself, then inquire. If you're not, then another practice like breath watching or devotion or karma yoga should be practiced. All are steps that diminish the influence of the ego. When the ego is diminished enough, you'll be ready to abandon it and be ready to inquire. Finally, Ramana talks about discrimination, neti neti, not this, not this. Ramana says, no, that is not meditation. Find the source. Really, spiritual practice is all about identity. My teacher Nome would ask, what do you consider yourself to be? Ramana says, find the source. Practices that calm and quiet the mind, that bring about a peaceful mind, a sattvic mind, are preliminary. Though preliminary, they're needed by most people since a sattvic mind is required for successful practice. Discrimination is the way to begin your inquiry practice. This consists of sorting out the real from the unreal, the transient from what is always there. Discrimination, though, is not the inquiry itself. Discrimination reveals, I am not this. This leads to the inquiry, since I am not this, who and what am I? This is the inquiry. Inquiry focuses on identity. What do you consider yourself to be? Discrimination informs the inquiry since you start to see that you are not any of the changing thoughts, feeling, or the world. You must be what is always there. What is always there? This is another form of the inquiry. There is something within you that is always. What is that? Who am I? Now we'll listen to my teacher Nome with a discourse. What do you consider yourself to be?
What do you consider yourself to be? However you define yourself, such determines what you regard as real. What do you consider yourself to be? That you exist is self-evident. What else do you consider yourself to be? That existence always knows itself, with a knowledge that is neither perceptual nor conceptual, is also self-evident. Self-knowledge, therefore, can be said to be quite natural, innate. That existence is unformed, without birth, and consequently imperishable. It is then not a body, not a mind. Indeed, not individualized at all. That is, there is no sense of an ego to it. But what do you consider yourself to be? According to the identification, the definition appended to the self, so appear various kinds of limitations or bondage. Consequent to bondage is suffering, which is unnatural for anyone. Being unnatural, living beings naturally desire happiness. The happiness is innate, just as the existence is. One's own nature is Satchidananda, being, consciousness, bliss. One's own nature is the Absolute, the reality itself. What do you regard as real? What do you consider yourself to be? Do you know yourself? If you do not know yourself, that is, in your experience there seems to be something else besides illimitable being, infinite consciousness, innate uncaused bliss. There seems to be something else. Then, as the Maharshi advises, you should inquire as to who it is that does not know the self. That is, are there two of you? The self which truly exists, and another? The self that truly exists is eternal and infinite, formless without conditions, and utterly immutable. If there is someone who says, I don't know this, or I partially know this, but partially don't know this, or yes, but my experience is also something else, something dualistic, something formed, then who is that someone? What is the nature of that someone? If such an inquiry would be made, your own continuous experience would be of only one solitary self, the very same that has been declared in various scriptures to be Brahman, or God. Looked at from another angle of vision, do you regard what is objective to you as if it were you? Your body and your senses are objective to you. Do you regard them as you? As if you were embodied? Or you're some kind of sensing entity? What do you consider yourself to be? Do you regard your thoughts as definitions for who you are? Or do you recognize that you are the unknown knower of all the thoughts that are known? To regard yourself as a mind, thought, or as a body is to superimpose false definition, illusion, upon the reality of your own existence. All the while, your being, yourself, remains just as it is. For what is real is utterly changeless. Sri Bhagavan said that where I rises, everything else rises. When I subsides, everything else subsides. Therefore, for the knowledge of reality, for realization of the Absolute, one should abide in the eyeless state. Eyelessness is peace. And it is true. The question is how to become eyeless. Well, you don't really become eyeless. You find the knowledge within yourself that your existence is always eyeless. Self-knowledge reveals, it does not produce. The real self need not begin anew. It is already existing. And when you know it as it is, by a deep inquiry as to who you are, then detached from all, yours is innate bliss. Transcendent of thought, yours is infinite consciousness. With no imagined definitions to bind you, your state is that of pure being, not becoming this or that, but just being, which is neither a thing nor an activity, but just what you are. To be absorbed in what has just been indicated Simply and deeply inquire within yourself as to what your true nature is.
All right. Now let us take a few minutes and inquire. You exist, and you know that you exist. So investigate within yourself. Inquire, what do you take yourself to be? Are you an ego? Know this ego I? Who knows the ego I? Does the ego know itself? Has there ever been a moment when the ego I was not active? Who are you then? Who am I? What is the nature of my existence? All right. We'll close with a short chant. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Peace, peace,
Peace.
peace. All right. Any questions or discussion?
Coincidentally, I found a quote of Nome's, which says, "It is natural to be happy. You do not exert yourself to be joyful any more than you exert yourself to be."
Nice.
Well,
Very
certainly,
inspirational.
I would say certainly I've noticed as my mind is quiet, there's just this happiness that just bubbles up.
Yeah.
And certainly, I've remembered again and again, Ramana said, it is about your identity. Nome said, it is about your identity. And I think this is a very clear message. And I love Nomi's question, what do you consider yourself to be anyway?
Yep. Yeah. And you said that you still feel like maybe you're the doer, but in these meetings that we get together, I don't see you as the doer. It is just flowing from that which is, and it's so lovely.
Well, thank you. That's still kind of what I feel like while I'm doing it.
You're doing it.
One of the things, I think about it and write it and do all this stuff beforehand. And, often the writing just comes. I don't really think about it. To think about it, I just try to focus on what did Ramana say? And the writing just comes.
Yeah. And that's one of the things there at the end that Nome said, being is neither a thing or an activity.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's what's happening.
Yes. Yes. Anyway, very good. Once again, it was wonderful to be together and share what we love.
Absolutely.
Very
Yep.
good.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you
And
so much.
namaste. We'll see you next
Namaste.
time.
Thanks to all of you for being here.